guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Shannon. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am so happy to have you here. Today's video is exciting. We're going to be talking about the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection. I don't normally do reviews on specific products. Typically, if I'm talking about products, it's usually in a haul, a follow-up haul, a favorites video, an empties video, but I thought that it would be important to review this collection because it is so hyped. I picked up mine on the launch date, which was the 14th. I was the first person at Ulta that day, and I went ahead and picked up all 4 palettes. I knew when I saw this on the Trend Mood 1 website, I knew immediately that this was going to be something that I was going to have. The original Jaclyn Hill palette is one of my all-time favorite palettes. I am obsessed with it. So when I saw her launching these 4 new palettes, there were no questions in my mind. And then of course all of the drama happened, and then I was kind of like, oh, do I really? You know, I kind of felt like maybe everybody else felt. So I waited, and of course it relaunched and it's supposed to be fixed, and so I went ahead and picked them up. Now, something to note about purchasing. I am not one to order online. I just like instant gratification, and I like the experience of going in store and shopping. So I also hate paying for shipping, and I hate waiting for products to come. So when I found out that I could buy these at Ulta, I was like, oh my gosh, I can get 4 times the points on this purchase. I can have it right then and there. I don't have to wait on the Morphe website, pray that it doesn't crash, pray that it doesn't sell out before I can check out. So I went ahead and bought in store. Now, the downside, you guys, to purchasing in store is you cannot buy it as a bundle at Ulta. They are going to charge you individually for each palette. So I went ahead and did the math, and it is $49 on the Morphe.com website, and of course you're buying it as a bundle deal. With the $8 in shipping, you're really only missing out on $3, you know, in comparison to just buying them individually at Ulta. If you were to use a code, you would get 10% off, and if I've done my calculations correctly, and forgive me, I'm not the best with math, but I figured you are out about $7 if you purchase them through Ulta rather than through the Morphe website. Now, from what I know, it is sold out on the Morphe website, so I'm sure they'll restock, but as of right now, they are sold out at the time of this video. So I know they're still available, last I looked, on the Ulta.com website. Now, for me, just convenience, being able to get my points through Ulta, I just lost out on $7. You know what I mean? Like, it really wasn't that serious to me to have to wait, to have to fight to get into the queue and hope that I'm checking out, and I just wanted to avoid all of that. And then also I was able to, this whole week I've been able to play with these palettes, where otherwise I'd be waiting for them to come in the mail. So I just thought that that was something important enough to note. Now, I'm going to review these in the order of which I, you know, originally played with them. That didn't sound, you know what I mean. Okay, so the first one was Bling Boss. Overall, I think the packaging is really nice. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this white cardboard packaging. I've never been a huge fan of it. But the difference between these and my original Jaclyn palette is these are like that glossy finish, whereas my original, I got that on the second Morphe launch. So it was that non-glossy white packaging, which gets really, really dirty. The overall packaging itself, it's kind of hard to come up on camera because it's glaring, but this kind of reminds me, and it did a lot of people, but when I first saw the packaging, I was like, wow, that's so like Becca Jaclyn Hill. But overall, I think the packaging is really pretty, and I do like the little you know, colored glitter flecks in there that kind of resembles the color story of the palette. So let's hop into the Bling Boss palette. Now, I want you guys to know that I have only used these palettes once each, and I did use a base of Tarte Shape Tape. Lately I've been using the Wet n Wild eyeshadow primer, and I'm not sure if using the Shape Tape has affected the way these perform at all. So this next week I'm gonna apply them with just my normal Wet n Wild primer or my Urban Decay primer potion and see if that makes a difference. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. So anyways, this is the Bling Boss palette. Now this color story, this was probably the one, you guys, that I was most excited about. I really don't have a ton of purples in my collection. And like these berry colors, they're beautiful, and I thought this would complement the original palette so well. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly swatch these out for you. I'm gonna go ahead and start from here, work my way this way, and then from here and work my way this way. In this palette, you do have 4 matte shades, and you have 6 shimmer shades. So the first shade I have here is Bling Bling. These feel very creamy to the touch. So that is Bling Bling. Next up is Hush Hush. It's a beautiful transition shade, very creamy to the touch. Next up is Gem, that rich purple. Oh my God, you guys, that is one of the best purples I have ever used. These remind me a lot of the way Juvia's Place palettes feel, if you're familiar with Juvia's. All right, this is the shade Pizzazz. Okay, that's Pizzazz. And then last is Mystic. Okay, so that is the first row. Okay, let me go ahead and I need to just grab a makeup wipe here. Trying to make this as quick as possible so we are not here till the end of time. Okay. I'm also going to be drying in between so that doesn't affect anything. All right, next up is the shade Sparks, beautiful matte. Okay, then we have Glitz and Glam, beautiful. Then we have Rockstar. This is probably my favorite matte in the palette. Ballsy, beautiful. And then we have Berry Treasure, which I really love this shade also. Okay, so those are the swatches of Bling Boss. Now, overall performance, I will say I didn't really run into any issues with this palette. You do have to be careful with the shade Rockstar, which was that beautiful, that one I said was my favorite. It is very, very pigmented. So a little goes a long way, and you just have to be careful. These deeper shades in these palettes are very, very, very pigmented. Now, one thing to note is there really wasn't a lot of kick up in the pans, which I really enjoyed. I was able to go in with my fluffy brushes, and I didn't have any issues with a ton of fallout or any, massive amounts of kick up in the pans. So that is also really nice. And like I said, they feel very creamy to the touch. I felt like I was able to come up with a really beautiful look with this palette. I did a very intricate, detailed, over the top kind of look. And I did post my looks on my Instagram, so you're more than welcome to go check those out over on my Instagram. I always have my handle down below in the description. Okay, so this one overall I think is definitely worth your $15 if you don't have a ton of these shades in your collection and you're looking to kind of add to your collection or maybe complement the original Jaclyn palette. I think this is a great option. Yeah, I was very, very impressed. This shade here, Hush Hush, makes a beautiful transition shade if you are similar to my complexion or maybe fairer. And so yeah, overall you guys, I really, really enjoyed this. I thought the look came out really beautiful. I didn't have a hard time working with it, and I would recommend this one. Okay, next up I have the Dark Magic palette. Okay, So this is what the palette looks like. Now, again, of all of the palettes, this was my second, like, in terms of interest, this was my second. Bling Boss was first, and then Dark Magic really captivated me in those first original photos. I do really love this shade here, Poof. It's just a beautiful cream, sort of, it's a great shade to set down your primer, which I thought the original Jaclyn palette really lacked. That shade to set your primer down. There's really nothing in the original palette without shimmer that's great for setting your primer down, so I think this is a great addition. All right, so I love this color story, you guys. It reminds me a lot of the Subculture palette. There is nowhere near the amount of kick up in this formula as there is in the Subculture palette, so if that was an issue for you, this would probably be the better option. But I will say, you guys, I did have a little bit of a hard time with this palette. I found it to stick in some places and really not blend. I really had to go in my opinion, with excessive amounts of shadow in order to make this work. Now, I did really enjoy the look that I came up with. I thought it was really, really beautiful, but it took me quite some time to get that look to kind of come together. It's really hard for me to recommend this palette because, especially to a beginner, if you are experienced with eyeshadow, you will probably be able to make this work. However, if you're new to blending, if you're not super familiar with, you know, just how to apply eyeshadow, this is not something I would recommend for you. Now, these shadows overall, they're very dark. So on someone who is fair complected, or even, you know, my shade, it is difficult to make these not look super bold and intense, if that makes sense. So I was a little disappointed by this, you guys. I would like to consider myself pretty experienced with eyeshadow. I feel comfortable using multiple formulas, and this one kind of, it challenged me. And so even with Subculture, I've always been able to make Subculture work for me. I utilize Subculture though in a different fashion than I do some of my other palettes, most of my other palettes. Because Subculture is so pigmented, I do not look for Subculture as a palette that I'm gonna get a total complete look out of. It is kind of a complementary palette in my opinion. I will typically go in with another palette, do my crease work, and then I will utilize Subculture as the star of the show. So that is my recommendation for this palette. Maybe look to some of the other shades in the other palettes or other shades in your collection to do your crease work and your blending, and then look to this as your staple of the eye look, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go ahead and swatch these out. Poof, you will probably not be able to see because it is pretty much my skin tone. So that is Poof. This is Power Cut. Okay, this is Shh, Pretty Brown. This is Trickery. Okay, and Diversion. I will also say, you guys, I did have pretty excessive amounts of fallout under my eyes throughout the day. I had to be really cautious, and I felt like I had to continuously check in the mirror to make sure that my eyeshadow hadn't formed all under my eyes. And on a couple of occasions, I found myself really having to go in with my fingers and wipe away the deeper shades in the palette, which was a little bit disappointing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and swatch out this bottom row. I'm gonna try to grab my original Jaclyn palette and maybe see if there are any shades that are, you know, dupeable. I don't think there is. I think there's some close shades, but I don't think there's anything that's exactly the same. All right, so this is the shade Potion, which is kind of like that olive green. Then we have the shade Busted. God, I love that color so much. This is Inside Job. it's the mattes in this palette. This is Mojo, and this is Temptress. I really do enjoy this black. It does have some tiny bits of glitter in it, but it really doesn't come out that way on the eye. So that is the bottom row of the Dark Magic palette. So honestly, I don't know if I would repurchase this palette again. I'm happy to have it because it is so different than really anything other than Subculture in my collection. So I do love these colors, and on occasions when I have that extra time, this is something that I might pull out. But to the majority, the mass majority, I just don't feel comfortable recommending this one. You do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mattes, the black being sort of a shimmer, sort of, and then you get 3 shimmers. They're foiled. So that's that. All right, next up we have the Ring the Alarm palette, and this is what this one looks like. Now, I love warm tones, you guys. They're my favorite, but I would say of the collection, this is the palette that I thought I could potentially skip out on because I really do have a lot of shades similar to this. And if you have the original Jaclyn, which, let me grab that. You guys, pardon my mess in the background. If you see anything, this is a disaster. It's been a rough week. Okay, so this is the original Jaclyn. Now, comparing the two of these, I mean, there's a lot of similar shades. So I thought I could do away with this one, but I went ahead and picked it up. I thought it would complement this palette really nicely. So this one here I wore yesterday, and I will be honest with you guys, this went on beautifully. No issues, no struggles, really, really warm palette. If that's not your thing, you're not gonna love this. But I personally enjoyed this palette. I do think it's gonna complement the original Jaclyn palette really, really well. I'm looking forward to utilizing this, especially in the fall. So let's go ahead and swatch. So we have Lolly. There is Lolly. We have Rush, which is kind of like a mustard sort of color here. We have, bear with me one second, you guys. Keep missing my pinky when I'm wiping these swatches off. Okay, we have On Camera. Beautiful warm gold. We have Boom. That's a beautiful color. And we have Alert, which is the orange. Okay, so that is the top row. Let me get rid of these swatches. If you guys are interested, I mean, there's a lot of other videos out there on this. I just thought I would give you my take on it. But if you want to see like comparison swatches to the original, let me know. I just didn't want this one video to be super, you know, out of control long. So this is Bomb Ass. This is Siren. This is Mugshot. This is Framed. And this is Secret. I think you can see just even in the mattes of the issue with these, the shimmers are all amazing. All of the shimmers in every palette are amazing. Very reminiscent of the original Jaclyn, very reminiscent of Juvia's Place. The issue lies within the mattes, some of the mattes within these palettes. And I think just in those swatches right there, just the way that they look, you can see how creamy they go on, how opaque they go on. And so it's kind of unfortunate that the best palette, in my opinion, in terms of performance, is this one because a lot of us have these shades already. I feel like most of us, if we weren't planning on getting the full kit and caboodle, would have probably eliminated this palette because we already have so many warm tones. But I will say out of all of the palettes, I think this one performs the best. So I would say it's between this one and Bling Boss in terms of performance. So there's that. Okay, and then finally the palette that I have on my eyes today is the Ring the Alarm. Nope, I'm sorry, Armed and Gorgeous. What am I talking about? The reason, okay, first and foremost, I did not touch this up at all today. Did I smudge on my face? Looks like I did. You'll have to bear with it. I did not touch this up at all before filming. I put this eyeshadow on at about 8 o'clock this morning, you guys, and it is now 5:30 at night. So it's been on for about 7.5 hours. This is what it looks like, okay, after 7.5 hours. So I wanted you to be able to see the wear, how it looks after that amount of time. Now, I did, again, go in with my Shape Tape as my base, and I did go in with a glitter glue for the shimmer. The shimmer looks very vibrant still. There is some creasing going on, which is unfortunate. I don't always have that problem. And then I will say that these mattes have really faded out. So I'm not sure, again, if it's the concealer or if it's the lack of like an eyeshadow primer. I usually use eyeshadow primer. For some reason, I just switched to Shape Tape. So with that being said, it's kind of hard to say, you guys. I'm gonna be really, really honest. But I wanted to show you nonetheless what it looks like after this amount of time. So this is the Armed and Gorgeous palette. Now, color story, it's okay. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. I was really attracted to the yellow, and I was really attracted to the green. But after using this palette, I've come to really love this Smooth Criminal shade. I know it looks like just a brown, but it is one of the most beautiful browns, I swear, I've ever used. So we're gonna go ahead and swatch this out now. So we're gonna start with VIP, which is that icy white. And to be honest, guys, I don't think I have an icy white like this anywhere else in my collection. Next up is Access, which is the yellow. Next up is Guilt Trip. See, I mean, these metallics are amazing. This is Coin. Coin is definitely a more yellow gold. And then this is Agent. So you can see this is more of a canary yellow. This is more of like that, I guess, mustard yellow. Okay, so that is the first row. Sorry guys, give me one moment. Now, where I really think that I will really enjoy this collection is being able to swap out, you know, use all of the palettes in an eye look. You know, if I want a yellow, I would reach for this one, and then if I want to go in with like a, you know, a green, I would go into Dark Magic. I think that's when I'm really going to have the most fun with this collection, but I really wanted to review each individual palette on its own, wear it, see how it wore, so on and so forth. So next up is Top Secret. The olive green. Next up is Smooth Criminal. Oh, look at that color. I don't have anything quite like that one. I know it's a brown, you guys, but it's a special brown. There's something about it. This is Secure. This is Prowl. Another really pretty brown and very creamy. And then last is Classified. This is kind of like an antique gold. Okay, so this bottom row, absolutely beautiful. I see fall in this bottom row for sure. And so today I basically went in with, I'll tell you in what order I went in. I used Access as my transition. I then went in with Secure to deepen it up, followed up with a little bit of Top Secret. I used Smooth Criminal and this guy here in the outer corner, which is Prowl. And then I used both Coin and Guilt Trip here. I tried to put Guilt Trip, the lighter gold, in the inner, and then Coin here, but it all kind of blended together. I couldn't see, like, I don't know if it's because they're kind of too close in shade, that there really wasn't a big difference and they just kind of blended into one another or what, but that's kind of the way that it played out. And I mean, you can see how rich these browns are, and that's what's remaining. So wear time, I would say 5 hours of bright pigmented shadow, and then after that it starts to kind of go down from there. I am going to be going out this evening, and I don't feel great going out in this eye look, so I am going to remove it, which is a little unfortunate because I do have palettes in my collection that I would, this one that I would put on and wear it all day into the night and not think twice about it. So honestly, you guys, if I had to recommend to you the original, if you don't have it already, or the Vault, I would sell you the original. Every matte in this palette is incredible. Every single one is incredible. If you've worked with this palette, you know what I'm talking about. You're never gonna get skipping. You're never gonna get sticky patchiness. They're all beautiful in their own way. If you guys want to see me swatch this compared to those, like similar shades, let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you, but we are already 26 minutes in. I don't want to keep you here all day, plus I have to get ready for my night out. So just let me know down below if that's something that you guys want from me. I know there's tons of reviews out there and there are people that are doing comparisons, so you can always, Samantha March here on YouTube has done reviews on both the original and this new Vault collection, meaning the first ones they sent out in PR and then the re-release. So, and she's done swatch comparisons with this palette, so I mean, you can go check her out. She's amazing, by the way. I love her. If you're not following her already, you would probably really love her. So anyways, you guys, I hope this was helpful. If I had to rank these in purchasing them over again, which ones I would buy and in what order, I would go with Performance. I would say Ring the Alarm. So Ring the Alarm would be number 1, which is a little, like I said, disappointing because I already have these colors. But performance wise, I'm gonna say Ring the Alarm is the best. I would follow that up with Bling Boss, the purple palette. This would be my number 2 in terms of performance and just longevity, shade range, what you could do with this palette. So I would say Bling Boss number 2. I would say Armed and Gorgeous would be number 3 in terms of performance. And I would say Dark Magic would be the last one. Unfortunately, I was so excited about this one. I'm going to continue to play with it. Give me a couple weeks, you guys. I will do a follow-up haul on this for sure. And in this time, you guys can tell me in the comments if you want me to do swatch comparisons. And I will incorporate that in with the follow-up haul or follow up to this collection, because what I want to do is I want to kind of mix and match these within looks, and I also want to use them with my normal primer. So stay tuned. I'll have a follow-up in a couple weeks. I think that's fair. But I wanted to get this out to you. I wanted to get this information out to you, the knowledge that I have thus far. That way, if you guys are interested, you've been wondering which palette is the best, which one should I buy them all? I wouldn't buy them all. I wouldn't. So yeah, I guess that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. You guys stay well. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, share, tell a friend, like, ring the bell. You know the drill, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.